Justin Verlander, who was labeled by most fantasy watchers as the best pitcher in Major League Baseball coming into the season, has now given up 16 runs over his last 12 and 2/3, spanning his last 3 starts. His ERA has ballooned to 3.66 and his whip has now skyrocketed to 137. I didn't have him ranked number 1, I had him ranked behind Clayton Kershaw, but not this far behind. It will be interesting if we find out he's been dealing with an injury of some sort. I'm not in the camp that since he's Justin Verlander that you just throw him back out there again Monday against Pittsburgh. I think the prudent thing to do is to wait for him to settle down and let whatever's happening take its course. That's 3 poor starts in a row now. 1 is a happenstance, 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. It's funny how intuitive our viewers are. Yesterday's question came from a USC student wanting to know if he should add Delmon Young. Last night, Delmon went 2 for 4 with a home run. The second night in a row, he went deep. He's only owned in 18% of leagues and starts in just 6. I guarantee you that's changing as I speak. So get him in now while you can if he's someone that you're targeting. Clay Buchholz won his first game since being accused of placing a foreign substance on the ball about 3 weeks ago. But it's not like he's pitched poorly since then, and he's now 7-0 on the season with a 1.73 ERA and a whip of just 1.05, still averaging a strikeout an inning. We're just about 30% through the season now, and at some point you're going to have to admit that his hot start wasn't just a fluke, and he's on one of those magical rides. So who sold high on Chris Davis after his fast start? Depending on what you received in return for him, he may have done well, but you would have had to get quite a bit. Davis went 4 for 4 last night, including his league-leading 14th home run. Davis has a top 10 batting average, hitting .329 with 43 RBI, trailing only Miguel Cabrera. Remember Cliff Lee? We haven't spoke much about Cliff because the Phillies have played so poorly, but he hasn't. Last night's complete game shutout quietly leaves him with a 2.47 ERA and a whip of just 1.02. His strikeouts per 9 are down about 2, just below 7, but he's still walking almost no one. At 34 years of age, Lee still remains one of the better fantasy pitchers in baseball. Giancarlo Stanton, who's on the shelf with a severely pulled hamstring, took part in batting practice yesterday for the first time since going on the DL. He's not yet begun to run. He hopes to start doing that next week. He's still a few weeks away. Carlos Quentin missed his second game in a row yesterday, receiving a cortisone shot in his left knee. The Padres are hoping to get him back in the lineup Friday against the Diamondbacks. Michael Cuddyer is expected to come off the DL after dealing with an inflamed disc in his neck and should be in the lineup Friday against the Giants. To make room for him, the Rockies somewhat surprisingly sent down Josh Rutledge, who I know many people were high on coming into the season. Kevin Slowey was forced to leave his start after 5 innings last night due to a strained left lat. He's currently listed as day-to-day and is questionable for his next start against the Rays. And Hiroki Kuroda also had to leave yesterday's game because of a bruised calf. He's currently listed as day-to-day and is questionable for his next start against the Mets. Alex from San Jose, California writes, I received a trade offer involving Ryan Braun, but I'm worried that he'll be suspended for PEDs. There's no money involved. It's just a player-for-player thing. Should I trade for him? Alex, he's not suspended, and he's not going to get suspended. Unless you're giving him Mike Trout or maybe Miguel Cabrera, you have to make that deal. I'm still getting emails from people wanting to know what to do with Ike Davis. You know, we make fun of the Davis situation quite a bit here, particularly on This Week in Fantasy Baseball. And the reason is, frankly, it's unconscionable that the Mets keep running him out there. Think about it. We're talking about a Major League franchise that has a number of young players on their team that they're trying to develop. But that's what the minor leagues are for. You don't do that in the show. And it's nothing like the Adam Dunn situation a few years ago. They aren't paying him huge money. He makes the Major League minimum. Don't do the same thing with your fantasy team. Someone wanted to know this morning if the fact that Ike Davis walked twice yesterday was a sign that he was making progress. I don't know, and I don't care. He's not hitting the ball, and I can't wait until he does. Not if I want to win. Building for the future in fantasy while trying to compete at the same time is a recipe for disaster. It's an oxymoron. That's what dumping is for. You're either playing to win or you're not. And if you keep playing Ike Davis, you're not. For RotoExperts, I'm Mike Cardano.